Hello friends, this is me, your host. Welcome back to our channel. I hope you all are well and doing great. So today I'm back with another video to give a review on another book, which is Magpie. This book is by Beth Day. She has almost everything, the rest she will take. The house was perfect. Well, not perfect exactly, because houses never are. But at least the imperfections were livable with. The flooring, which had clearly been bought in bulk by the developer, was a shade too light. The wood laminate a touch too smooth to pass for real. The wood laminate a touch too smooth to pass for real. The plantation shutters were plastic and layered with thin pores of dust. Someone had made the odd decision to put a bathroom on the second floor with doors that led out onto a roof terrace. Marisa stood on this terrace, her sandals shadowed on biscuit colored patio stones, and she looked down to the garden below. Which had a strip of lawn lined with potted plants, the soil newly turned. She noticed the quiet, which was rare for London, especially when you were this close to a main road. When she commented on this, the woman who was showing her around nodded. Yes, it's got a lovely sense of calm to it. It was this that ultimately persuaded her. Marisa's own childhood had been studied through with noise. In her memories, it was always the sound she remembered first. The discordant hesitations as her father attempted to play the piano. The slamming of an oven door, the jangle of an overloaded dishwasher shelf. The raised voices of her parents arguing, the shrill caterwaul of her newborn sisters crying, and then, when Marisa's mother had left, baby Clam too, her house in the countryside had fallen silent. There had been no explanation. Her mother had hugged Marisa tightly before leaving, whispering into her ear that she would return for her just as soon as she had got back on her feet. Marisa can remember looking down at her mother's shoes and wondering what was wrong with them. They were a pair of penny loafers, the coin glinting through the oxblood leather. She had tried once to twinkle out the penny with stubby fingers, but it hadn't come loose. Looking at her mother's shoes, Marisa wanted to know why she needed time to get back on her feet. When she was already on them, she wanted to know why her mother was going. Most of all, she wanted to know what was going to happen to her and why she was being left behind. She was 7. For the first couple of weeks, this devotion had been ardently reciprocated. And then Matt had disappeared for several days, causing her spirals of anxiety. She kept calling him and WhatsApping, and there would be no reply, and the messages would be left unread until finally, after a whole week of silence, he had texted. He had texted her with, "What you're doing?" She had been so happy to hear from him that the previous torturous bout of sadness and self doubt was entirely forgotten. And they began the whole cycle over again. This lasted for 5 months until Matt fell out of her life without a single word of goodbye and promptly blocked her from his phone. "What about Matt?" she said, as the nail technician rubbed her feet the rectangular file. You were never yourself around him. You let him walk all over you. No, I didn't. But when she thinks back now, Marisa realizes Jax was right. She had interpreted his unpredictability as passion, mistaking her anxiety from the butterflies you were meant to get at beginning, at the beginning of love. And so she kept trying different tactics to keep his interest. If she could just need him a little bit less, Marisa would think. If she could stop issuing demands or ultimatums. When he wouldn't listen to all the other ways she had attempted to express her desires. If she could just cut off his part of herself, and then this one, that one, so that she would barely be any trouble at all, then she would be rewarded. Then she would be worthy of his undivided attention. Marisa stands to the right on the escalator. Hunkering down behind a meaty shouldered man in a high waist jacket. Kate is standing a few steps ahead of her, but then she decides to walk the rest of the escalator, her hair swishing side to side, reliable as a metronome. Marisa can't risk walking too. She will be noticed immediately if Kate decides to turn around. Instead, instead, she stays on the escalator, feet planted wide, because she notices now that she feels dizzy and off balance. She reaches out a hand, trying and failing to find something solid to cling on to. Are you alright, darling? The woman behind her, a grandmotherly type, carrying a rumpled Sainsbury bag, is looking at her with concern. Yes, fine. Thank you so much. You want to be careful. I remember that stage. The woman points at Marisa's stomach, and when she looks down, she realizes the pregnancy has started to show. Her jacket has flapped open and her tummy protrudes from the gap. A tiny, swelling mound. Don't worry, you will feel better. Marisa tries to Marisa tries to smile. They are at the top of the escalator. And the woman seems intent on making conversation. Thank you. She gestures toward the ticket barriers. I used to be a midwife, you see, Marisa notes. Oh, how interesting. Well, anyway, by the time she has shaken the woman off, Kate is nowhere to be seen. When Marisa emerges into the light of Oxford Circus, she separates them. After that strange Sunday lunch, Annabella had subjected Jake to a barrage of phone calls. Asking if he was sure about Kate and how much he truly knew about her, and weren't they moving a bit too quickly, and she was only saying this because she loved him. He understood that, didn't he? And so on and so forth until Jake, despite his tendency always to give his mother the benefit of the doubt, even Jake, kind, loving, filial, fake, couldn't find enough time in the day to give Annabella as much attention as she demanded. So then Annabella began calling Kate, leaving voicemails inviting her for coffee the next time she was in town. I am popping up to Peter John's and I would love to see you. Just us girls. Kate replied with non committal texts, and gradually the communication eased off. She just doesn't like the thought that she's losing me. Jake said one evening as they sat on the ledge of the open kitchen window, drinking April spreads and looking out over the London rooftops. Kate thought this was an appropriate way for a mother to feel, but she didn't say anything. A pigeon was pecking at a roof tile a few feet away. She watched as the pigeon realized there was no food there, then puffed out its chest as if embarrassed, and stalked off. She will love you, just you wait. There is part of her that already does. It's just that you are both actually quiet. Don't say it, Jake. What? You were about to say we are both actually quite similar. He laughed, brushing a hand through his hair, fluffing it up like the pigeon's feathers. I was, which is not true, and if it were true, would make you into some kind of creep with a serious Oedipus complex. Fair point. Let's leave it that we have never going to be that close. But it's fine because she lives in Turkesbury. He nodded, then said, it's why my sisters moved away. Sensible. There was just one thing that Kate wanted to change, and that was Marisa's living arrangement. She had told them she rented a flat in North London, but when they visited her, their gate was taken back to find that it was more like a bedsit than a flat. The bedroom contained the galley kitchen, and the bathroom was barely bigger than a cupboard. It smelled of cooked food and bad plumbing. Kate could hear the thump of old music coming from above. It was damp and foggy, and the front window looked out directly onto a main road. The glass was grimy from exhaust fumes. What if Marisa came to live with us? Kate asked Jake later that evening. They were sitting on the sofa in front of the TV, drinking wine and watching a Netflix documentary about the doping scandal in cycling. Jake didn't hear her at first. He reached for the remote control and pressed pause. What was that? She held her wine glass by the stem, gently swilling it so the liquor left a mark on the side. I was wondering if it made sense to ask Marisa to move in with us. Jake, who had reached to take a crisp from the bowl on the low table in front of them, halted the movement mid-air. He sat back and burst out laughing. What? Kate looked at him levelly. He realized she wasn't joking, and his face became serious again. Wow, okay. I hadn't expected that. Okay, let me just digest it for a second. The TV switched into screensaver mode and was filled with images of slow moving dolphins underwater. I have just been thinking about it, and I don't really love the idea of her being so far away from us. It's not that far. No, I know, but we both work long hours and it would be easier having her closer. Would be easier having her closer. That's the practical argument, she said, knowing how Jake's mind worked. Emotional one is that I also don't love the idea of her being on her own without a family support unit. They all live in the country, don't they? Besides, it would be much easier to keep an eye on her and check she's eating healthily and taking her supplements and all that stuff. When Kate walks gingerly past them, Marisa flings her arms around Jake's neck. Don't let her hurt me. Don't let her hurt me. I'm not going to hurt you, Kate says, as calmly as her fear and fury will allow. You hurt me, remember? Jake makes a shushing sound, although whether it is directed towards her or Marisa. She isn't sure. Kate opens the door. Chris is standing there in his familiar tweed jacket, a half smile on his face as she sees her, and she experiences a rush of gratitude and relief so acute she feels her legs buckle. Come in, come in. He steps inside. Are you okay? He asks, his voice slow. That gash looks nasty. He points at her forehead. Oh, this, no, it's fine. Looks worse than it is. Where is Annabella? Parking. I thought I should leave her to it and come straight here. Sounded urgent from what you said on the phone. In the porch. Parking, I thought I should leave her to it and come straight here. Sounded urgent from what you said on the phone. In the porch, Kate reaches out and holds the sleeve of his jacket. Thank you, Chris. He pats her hand. Don't mention it. This is what family is for. We will calm her down and keep her stable and your baby safe. Don't you worry. She tells him quickly about the prescription she found and the diary and Marisa's current state of mind, and he nods. That makes sense. Alright, we will sort this out soon enough. She goes outside and sits on the bench, sipping her wine while watching him. Jake's borderline obsession with exercise has always amused her. Since the spa weekend, there have been a few more unplanned absences. Late nights at the office and a work conference one weekend that necessitated an overnight stay. Before the fertility treatment, he regularly had business trips that took him away for several nights at a time. But he stopped going on these in order to support her and be around for appointments. After the press ups, Jake shrugs himself into a graying hoodie with Harvard written in an arch across the front. He has never been to Harvard, but the hoodie is so old that he can't remember where it came from. He comes to sit next to her, and she feels the heat and smell of his sweat, mossy, like a forest. Don't worry about the visits, he says, mopping his face with a towel. Let's go down this Saturday if you are stressed. Don't worry about the visits, he says, mopping his face with a towel. Let's go down this Saturday if you are stressed. I'm not stressed, I just. She lets the thought hang. The main thing, as we have agreed, he says, as though speaking to a child, is to keep Marisa calm and happy and stable. Yes, I know. A swell of frustration in her chest. Jake stops mopping and looks at her. You are stressed. Mom was right. Her throat contracts. Her throat contracts. I'm sorry. What? I just meant at the birds they played 1990s hip hop. Most people choose Mozart, Mr. Abadi said with a curious smile. They want something calming. Marisa says she wants music that makes her feel strong, like she can do anything. Kate explained it's her idea and we like it, don't we? She turned to Jake, sitting beside her in the now familiar chrome framed chairs of Mr. Abadi's office. We do, he replied, grinning. Mr. Abadi gave a quick twitch of the head, but he was amused rather than disapproving. We aim to please, he said, making a note with his gold pen in the medical records. So it was that Leo Christopher Sturridge made his entrance into the world accompanied by the frenetic vocals of Busta Rhymes rapping "Thank You." When Jake and Kate were invited to cut the umbilical cord, and when they heard their baby cry for the first time, and when the midwife handed Kate her son, it was Snoop Dogg. Jay-Z accompanied the moment when Jake took Marisa's hand and squeezed it tightly. Crying tears that came from somewhere beyond his conscious mind. As Kate held her baby, Marisa looking on with a tired smile, the playlist segued into TLC. The whole thing was stupidly beautiful. Hello, Kate said, peering into her son's mottled, querying face as Jake cupped the baby's velvety head with his hand. We have been through a lot to get to meet you. On the bed behind them, Marisa rested back on the pillow, her body bloody and sweaty with exhaustion. Kate turned to her. Thank you, she said, her voice cracking. Thank you so much. By the time Kate held Leo to her bare chest in the next door room, the music had stopped and there was a calm so solid it felt like certainty. She and Jake craned forwards to hear Leo's tiny sniffles and squeaks. Each noise signifying the barely credible facts of his existence. The baby's fists were scrunched shut, and the crease of his barely formed fingers and nails struck her as something prehistoric and inexplicable. She was astonished by him at once, so miraculous and yet so fully theirs. Besides, she asked, hadn't Annabelle and Chris helped them when they most needed it? Did it matter what the ulterior motive had been? when they were in crisis and had feared losing everything. It was Jake's parents who had shown up. She is grateful that, in spite of everything, Annabella had sent a pair of blue knitted booties when Lou was born. The envelope was addressed to Jake. And when he opened it, he threw the card away unopened and stuffed the booties in the kitchen drawer where they kept the spare batteries and elastic bands. The booties are still there in the plastic gift box, long outgrown. Whenever Kate catches sight of them, she thinks of how Annabelle remembered their due date. She knows not to press the issue with Jake. It is his pain to carry and his to reconcile, not hers. In time, maybe they will allow Leo's grandparents. For now, though, there is no need. They're complete, the three of them. A perfect family, just as they are. They reach the Peace Pagoda at the edge of the park. Its two-layered roofs remind Kate of Victorian lady lifting her skirts. She read she read somewhere that the pagoda was presented to London as a gift by a Japanese monk who, after the atrocities at Hiroshima and Nagasaki, had vowed to spend the rest of his life building shrines to peace. Sh- She looks at the golden Buddha shining out from the center, its clean brightness like a fresh new coin. Peace, she thinks. She understands it now. She rests her hand against Leo's head and feels the sleeping warmth of him. Shall we go home? She asks. Sure, he says. The baby is swaddled in his sling. Jake's arm is around her shoulders. They walk back to where they came from, and the golden Buddha watches them go. So, this is all we have from this book. I hope you guys liked it. If you did, don't forget to press the like button. And if you wanted to buy any one of these best selling books, you can get it from our Amazon page, Best Book for You. I'll be back with another video with another book. Till then, just take care and goodbye.